So, needless to say, Starbucks has not been idly sitting by, uh, allowing you to just workers to just vote and do as they please. There has been increased messages sent out by Starbucks to workers, including over Thanksgiving. There's been some other things that have come to light with workers complaining or making serious complaints about alleged assault. So I wanted to just ask you, since we last spoke, can you kind of talk about the escalating efforts by Starbucks to basically stop the union vote from going through?
Yeah, definitely. Once ballots went out, Starbucks was legally not allowed to have the group anti-union meetings. But when we saw them escalate, exponentially, it was these one-on-ones or even, three-on-one meetings they would have with partners or workers at Starbucks stores. Rossann Williams was, running very, like much of these one-on-ones in the three stores that are voting right now. And she would have herself and two other partners, and they would target workers that they perceived in the middle and try to get them to flip. And, I think they've been successful in at least one store, flipping a couple workers by just constantly like having them do these hour-long meetings with, the president of Starbucks herself, the president of Starbucks North America, and other executives, and we believe that they've, been making a lot of, threats about losing benefits to workers, really hammering that home that, if the union gets voted in, all your benefits are at risk, from healthcare to, the ASU, the Arizona State University tuition, which is paid for, online classes through Starbucks. So a lot of fear tactics, and it's been one of the major things that's escalated recently. Also, we've seen in Arizona too, where partners out there have launched, their campaign. A lot of the similar tactics we've had to deal with, where management flooding that store in La Mesa.
And that is, just so the audience is clear, Rossann Williams is basically like the head of North America for Starbucks. So
Yeah,
she's been down in Buffalo mopping floors and trying to be one with the workers, while simultaneously her and a flood of other upper management, senior executives have flooded Starbucks in Buffalo for weeks now. But after the ballots went out, basically you're saying, even though they might not be holding the daily sessions, they've still been sending out messages that are meant to essentially steer people away from voting.
Yeah, definitely. The text messages workers have been getting, and some of the more pro-union workers stopped receiving, text messages and emails, but workers in the middle have been receiving, ever escalating emails telling them to vote no, accusing, union supporters of harassing workers, and really hammering home that, to basically like, call ethics and compliance on, workers just trying to talk about organizing or openly supporting organizing. I think we've been, trying to act, as ethically as possible and, err on the side of caution with, not, pressuring workers, not like, I guess like being too invasive. Like this campaign hasn't had any house calling, which is I think abnormal for a union campaign. But we've really tried to let workers decide on their own, and it's just laughable to say that we're the ones harassing people when they're sending text messages constantly to people, emails, and forcing workers to do over hour-long one-on-ones with the president of Starbucks North America.
And yeah, they've in their messages they've been basically accusing the union, your union drive, of dividing workers and this and that, but they've literally been packing stores with totally excess amount of workers that are not necessary, which essentially is dividing the workers that were there and surveilling them and kind of breaking up communication and camaraderie of the workers that wanted to unionize. So by definition, they're kind of dividing the workers by flooding the stores with new workers.
Yeah, it's definitely projection on their part. The airport location in Cheektowaga, that's one of the stores voting, they have over 20, it's like a 26-person store, but for the ballots that were sent out, they sent out over 41 ballots because they shut down a neighboring store and flooded it with all the workers from that store. This is a store that hasn't been really interested in unionizing, and put all those workers on the ballots coming up. So obviously we're going to challenge those ballots, but it's just ridiculous that, if they can't make the whole district vote, they're going to then, bring the whole district to basically those stores that are voting and try to get them to vote in those elections. So this is just another example of just the legal tactics that Starbucks is trying to take to, stop our union drive.
And I think it's important you mentioned that there's now the beginnings of a union drive in Arizona. So it's kind of obvious, they view Buffalo as ground zero, because if they could stop it in Buffalo, they could stop it, basically deter people from wanting to do it elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, they know that if, Buffalo unionizes and we're able to get a good contract, basically, they're going to have to give the whole country those benefits. As we've seen in Canada, where workers, there's actually one Starbucks that is organized. They got like a $2 an hour wage increase, but then, immediately afterwards, Starbucks bumped wages up, I think, at least more than that, I think maybe around $3, and basically didn't give those increases to the unionized store. So, we're fairly certain that, whatever benefits we get out of our union contracts that we do and start negotiate once we win our stores, Starbucks is going to attempt to, implement benefits, those similar benefits across the country to try to cancel it out. So, we're carrying, not just, these small Starbucks in Buffalo on our back, but really, I think Starbucks across the country. Whatever we're able to win here, we're going to see partners benefit from, across the country.
I want to also ask you, in a meeting in Arizona, I guess audio came out of that meeting, a district manager called Buffalo Partners people who suck the life out of you, and said, you guys don't love Starbucks. They like to call you partners. It's kind of like this BS, like Amazon calls their workers that they work to death associates. So they call you partners and all this, but clearly you make far less than the executives. And by what this district manager was caught saying, they seem to view you, as inferior.
Yeah, I mean, we're really just asking them to live up to their values. It's great on paper, all the things they have and they say about us, but, very clearly, those only run like, skin deep, their actual belief in it. And yeah, for a company that it doesn't just call their, employees associates or, another nice word, but goes as far as like partners, which is, it's a pretty, egalitarian term. If you're going to use that, you have to live up to it. So, yeah, obviously, it's kind of ridiculous. There's a worker, Casey, who was in her store, and someone named John came in and just wouldn't tell Casey basically what his position was. He just said he's a partner, he's John, and it turned out he's the COO of Starbucks, major level executive, right below Kevin Johnson up there. And, it's just laughable that, they're not even willing to be honest of why they're here. And they're not, everything they're doing is just like a lack of honesty, and almost would have more respect if they came in like a Walmart, and we're just like, yeah, we don't want the union, but here they're not even willing to acknowledge the fact that they're here because of the union.
Right. So. Well, I also, and by the way, I should mention that Starbucks retaliated against a worker in Arizona who blew the whistle on those comments from the district manager. They fired her. So
she's a manager battling leukemia. She was trying to get a leave of absence from Starbucks, but still needed to work somewhat and was trying to work something out, and they just refused to work with her. But unbeknownst to her, they were in the process of investigating her for leaking to us. A Zoom meeting with the district manager who made the comments about us sucking the life out of the company. And then once they did end up firing her, but we've managed to raise over $20,000 for her. She has found a new job, and luckily, has managed to, find health insurance to ensure that she's able to continue to get the care she needs right now. But it's just disgusting. The fact that they're willing to, put people's lives, literally lives on the line. This woman's dealing with leukemia and couldn't receive treatment without health insurance, just terminate her. It's disgusting and really shows how little they care about, their workers.
Yeah. And her name was Brittany Harrison, by the way. If people want to, Brittany Harrison, if people want to check out that GoFundMe.